And he uses Michael the way saying Michael uses him to get back to Carrie. Carrie is not the moral center because she may be at the end emotionally, but I do believe that Carrie, the way Michael sees Carrie, is he sees her as having screwed him. Because he wasn't, at that very first scene, she was not there at the prison, and she'd made a deal. She was supposed to give him the money, and that was the way he understood it with her. So he feels justified in what he does in his behavior. And I think each character has their reasons.
Sir?
Roger Friedman from the Daily News in New York. First question's for Oliver.
Where are you?
I'm over here.
Thank you.
I'm speaking for this side of the room. We haven't had any questions. Oliver, the movie's really great, and you cast all these terrific people like Eli Wallach and Sylvia Miles. I thought you could, and Frank Langella, who we love. Can you talk a little bit about that? And the other question, maybe for Ed Pressman too, is this movie was supposed to come out in April, and now it's here, getting a lot of press, but it's not going to come out till the fall. Do you think that because it's so topical, I felt like it should really be coming out right now and not waiting so long?
Well, the danger is if you chase the news, you're never going to be satisfied. I mean, we would have come out normally the week that Goldman was indicted for short selling. That was, so what? I mean, that's not going to really, the news is going to be there forever. It's going to go on for this next year. The fourth quarter, historically, in Wall Street is far more volatile. So we will be coming out right in the storm, I think, September 23rd, internationally pretty much. I think it's much better, and I think Cannes is a much better introduction point for us. I like it, and we get more time to work on the film. We got 3 more weeks, so that's the way I see it. And as to Sylvia Miles, she was in the original, and she's still walking around, as you know, and she's got that sassy intelligence. She told me that they would all crack up on Garage Sale. I don't know about that line, but also Eli Wallach was a treat for all of us to work with too, because Eli is. He's Eli, and he came up with his little own signature whistle there from one of his Western movies, which I loved, and we incorporated it.
Yeah, that was great having the phone ring with that.
Ed, you wanted to comment on that?
I think
Oliver said it.
I think Oliver's.
I
agree with his sentiment.
Well, I was going to say, I think it is a marketing dilemma. And one should not think, because Wall Street is in the news, that it necessarily helps our movie. This is it really has to be a separation. This movie's got a lot of other things going on about it, other than simply Wall Street. So I think for the marketers, that is going to be the dilemma. How do you make an audience think that they haven't already seen the movie on television, watching the news every night?
We'll take just a few more questions. Go ahead, sir.
Rodrigo from Globo Brazil. It's a question to Mr. Douglas. Besides acting, you made history as a producer. As a producer, I would like to know, are you able to identify impacts of the crisis upon Hollywood? How did the crisis affect Hollywood?
Which crisis is that? The economic crisis? Well, I don't know if it's been directly affected by the Wall Street crisis, but over a period of time, economics have made a disparity between, i.e., studio movies, most of which are at $70 million or more, that have advertising and marketing budgets of 30 or 40 million or more dollars, and your independent pictures, which are down under 12, 15 million. And the dilemma with those is most of the time they sell the movie to foreign territories to get the budget to make the movie. Then they cannot get an American distributor because they don't have enough money to market the film. So I've never quite understood why a foreign country will take an English-speaking American film and have enough money to show it in theaters, whereas it cannot be done in the States. So it's a bad situation right now. It's a huge disparity. I think it's cleaned out, a lot of maybe mediocre independent films, but it's not a good sign for the future.
Ma'am?
My name is Jasmine Tahazaki. I'm from Egypt, representing the Egyptian television. First, I would like to congratulate you all for a fascinating movie. I really, really enjoyed it on the personal level, and I'm sure it's going to be internationally also very well received. My question is, Mr. Stone, would you consider coming to Egypt, maybe filming something in Egypt, a movie? And to all of you renowned stars, how are you influenced by on the personal level, influenced by the moral and aspect? And if you are personally, I mean, does this change your lives somehow by the roles that you play in a movie?
That's a very good question. You should ask them. I have no plans to shoot in Egypt. It's difficult. You know, the infrastructure there is difficult, and it's. I'm very involved right now with 3 documentaries that I'm trying to finish, including The Secret History of the United States, which is 10 hours long, which is probably the most ambitious project of my life. And I have a south of the border documentary on the changes in South America and in all through the region, through 8 countries, which is coming out next month. And I also have, I did a 3rd interview with Castro right before we shot Wall Street, and that's going to be coming out. It's called Castro in Winter. And it's a small, you know, it's a man in his twilight years, twilight life, and he's 84 years old, and he was in wonderful mental condition, and he's still, but ailing physically, but still strong. It was a wonderful interview. So I have those 3 things really taking up a lot of time. Thank you, ma'am. Ask if you want.
As for the actors, were you ever marked indelibly by a part that you have played?
I played George W. Bush, and I'm still confused.
That's a great line. Thank you, John.
I played Richard Nixon, and I'm not.
Ma'am?
Farah Nayeri from Bloomberg News. Question for Oliver Stone. I understand that you may be toying with the idea of doing a film about the years in between. Is that seriously something that you are considering, or does it depend on how well this one does?
You mean in Wall Street years?
Yeah.
Oh, no. No, I was perhaps kidding yesterday when I said the only one would be this would be, no, because Douglas would have to be younger.
Who has the microphone? Go ahead.
Sabine Schulz, German television, ZDF. A question for Michael Douglas. Gordon Gekko was meant as a bad guy, but actually became an idol. Did you see the sequel as a possibility to correct that image? And how would you describe the focus of Money Never Sleeps and the message? Is it the end of capitalism?
Well, I think Oliver and I were both pretty stunned after the first one. How they perceived Gekko, an insider trader, a guy who destroyed companies, destroyed people. It was a very, very well-written villain, and people are attracted to villains. We just never anticipated that all these MBAs, these people in business school would just be ranting and raving that this was the person that they wanted to be. And yet, you know, 22 years later, I imagine that a lot of those MBA students are heading up these investment banking companies now because the greed has not stopped. It got legal. It's become legal. I mean, this time around, I think again Oliver was right.